Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us today for our Small Firms Exchange monthly meeting. And today I'm really excited. I'm Jen Wright. I'm the chair of the Small Firms Exchange, and I'm also our Oregon rep for the National Small Firms Exchange. So each state has a representative, and we meet monthly to talk about what's happening all across the nation. So that's where I met Darguin Fortuna. He's out of Salem, Massachusetts, and he also sits on the board as well as the YAF, the Young Architects Forum. Is that correct? YAF. And so he is, I asked him to come because he uses video and YouTube a lot for his firm and just in general. And he won the AIA Film Challenge last year. And I was just really excited to have him share his experience with everybody and also give advice on how to use this for marketing. So I'll let you take over. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to try to go quickly so that we can all, have time to ask questions. Talk. But this slide is the first time I ever create one for this particular purpose. So forgive me if it focuses more on how we got where we are than the actual media itself, to be honest, because I think it's very important to understand the background. So again, Darguin Fortuna from Young Architects based out of Salem, Mass. Just quick little snippet of the things that we care about here, kindness, passion for growth and the world. That phrase of Samuel Nagby goes, it has with me about when we see something that others can, we have to act. And this is part of that action.
Hi, sorry about that. Yeah.
So kind of a little bit of my why too, I have 3 little ones. And I'm trying to, use media also to influence them and show them things that I do. I'm a graduate from the Boston Architectural College. This is the firm I founded with my partner, Marco Severino, for Young Architects in 2016. And these are the faces you will see at the office from the office. And these faces are here and are very diverse and different for a reason. It's intentional. And it happened, it's intentional now, but it wasn't intentional. So me and my partner Marcos noticed that something was lacking within our profession, but within the offices where we worked. And it was that diversity. It was kind of like that place where everybody could make a place for themselves. We were kind of misfits in places. Now we have a place where all misfits are welcome. And we believe that that's a superpower. So, and that's kind of the different locations where we come from. And all of us here, I actually thought today of putting on a flag of all of their nations because we look like the United Nations. So that said, the journey to Flow, the company started 2014, but in 2017, when I got invited to be a part of the NCARB Licensing Summit, the topic of diversity and minorities and inclusion, issues of that matter were being brought up a lot. And I didn't know how that fit into what we were doing at Flow, but little by little kind of opportunities came about and we began to grow and we began to kind of create change within our office. So we've had 3 major locations, from the basement with 1 person, 3 people actually, Ahmed, China, and Julio Gutierrez from Mexico, me and Marcos from the Dominican Republic. So diversity was there even within that little room. And then we created or moved into our new building. And all of that, it was kind of finding why are we all about. Then there was this value proposition that came from one of the meetings I went to of how well a diverse team, well managed, would actually do within any office in any place. So homogeneous teams do pretty well no matter what, but at the end of the day, if you have a diverse team well managed, that will really set you apart from everybody else. And then looking at the licensing board of the NCARB board and how not diverse it was back then, that was in 2017. I'm not sure how it is right now. And I was selected within the routine tankers, and I was like, why does it look like this? And why doesn't it look like this? So I started looking at that, and a yearning feeling, a very strong feeling of change and how we can impact our profession started really fueling almost all of the decisions that were made at Flow Design, even from how we created our handbook to how we move through everything, like the clients we work with and everything. So then to amplify diversity, I decided I should be involved in many things, from exchange where I apply for, to see what's going on in the world, in the entire nation, but also to bring that diversity that I have within me and my office through AIA National. We have Jen here too, so great photo. That was actually right here at AIA last week. Also the YAF, I thought, well, look, diversity is really making its way through the younger generations. And I want to be part of that too. I happen to also be 10 years of that license, so I'm a young architect. And I started noticing that there's other people trying to do it too. There's this group called Architectures out of Chicago, which focuses on pushing diversity, pushing Latinos and minorities. And these all came about just like this. And we thought, wait a minute, how can we make this go viral, right? How can we make this really amplify everybody's voice? So through the pandemic, we were using Zoom, and all of these Zooms, even right now, we started recording a lot of those. We opened our YouTube channel, Flow Design YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel was a place just to start putting content for our clients. And then more and more I thought, well, why don't we start using this? You know, my kids watch YouTube all day. It's like everybody's using YouTube. Okay, so why don't we start becoming more intentional? And the Flow Design Architecture YouTube channel started becoming more deliberate. We have an ARE session where we teach the AREs for free, how to pass the AREs for free. And more we started using it to amplify our voices. We use some of the tools that you guys see, you know, Canva, Final Cut, YouTube, and some, you know, so now there's a lot of different tools that are really easy. And on our YouTube channel, you can go, and I have a session where I start talking about how to use Canva, how to use Hootsuite, use Premiere Pro, and other tools. But it's all about this. And this is what the film challenge that we won for the AIA last year was about: creating that change and amplifying that change, starting really early. So we've begun to create content that's aimed at children, going to schools and reading books with them, going to high schools, that process of going to the colleges, where the ones that are there also can see themselves within the bigger picture, and we can amplify that by saying, look, you look like me, I'm just like you, we're all in this together, let's create that change. And that then starts empowering the entire pipeline, starts empowering we are and what we do. And the media wasn't even as a revenue generation or like try to get clients or try to get projects. It's this why, right? This why of saying everybody's got a story to tell, and they're worth being listened. And those stories can actually inspire other people. So although it started from within, which I call that like from within our office, from within our hearts, it started to spread around our clients' profiles too. We have a very diverse group of clients and their stories. So our YouTube channel, it's now we're interviewing them. There are stories that you would never hear about how they got into construction, how they got into development, how they got into this. So all of that also that inherently turn into the bottom line too, because again, we're showcasing diversity, broadcasting diversity, and this desires to change the pipeline. And now because of how diverse we are, even within the project types that we do, year after year after year after year, we keep on going on. So, you know, first time we really started getting projects was 2019, 97 projects, then 2020, 16. I mean, you see the numbers, they keep on going up. Now, you know, we are at 258 as of right now, because we're becoming a community changing catalyst, and people gravitate towards us and we gravitate towards them. and he amplifies everything that we do. So, and every day we're looking for new tools. Like how can we continue this? How can we continue to broadcast this? So to influence change across the board, we have to be where the audience is. So Instagram. So that's like one of the places where we go. And then the film challenge came about from like, let's connect all the pieces to one place. Why are we doing this? I'm not sure if you have seen the clip, and I can share it if you guys would like. Short little 3 minutes. But I wanted to put it all together in there and really tell the world, look, this is what we should all be doing. Is resolving a lot of problems that I see small firms have across the country, which is there's no talent. They say, well, there's no diversity. It's hard to find. So you start getting creative. We have no problem hiring. We have more people applying to vote than we could even have. Unfortunately, we don't have enough desks for all the people that want to work here, and we do have the work. So I would encourage people to go to the YouTube channel. But now it's all about also showing the stories of each one, each individual, contractor, the younger staff, the senior level, everybody. And more we've been refining it. It has over 22,000 subscribers as of right now. And again, it started with these very raw and foreign videos from Zoom, like that weren't really captivating, but then we've been refining them, making them better. And I guess when there's a will, there's a way. So it happens to be that one of the members of the office that makes all of our content moved from Utah to Massachusetts. He's my cousin. So when I invited him, I said, well, do you want to work with me? Well, you know, the media, it's very expensive. You probably can't even afford me. And I'm like, I can't, but let's start small and let's see what happens. Now he's actually almost full-time. We're getting to the, because everybody's calling us to for them. And look, I'm not even talking about showcasing our projects. That's a whole other side. Like photo shooting of our projects is a whole nother thing. So it's become an investment that pays off in ways that money is hard to even quantify. So our Instagram has been activated because of that too. We've cleaned it up, make sure that our mission is clear, that our message is clear. So, and it's taken a lot of work to get it to that point. But it's all like how it started. All of these people that this was their first job for most of them. They've never even done anything in architecture, and making it easy for them. Now it's turning into making it easy for developers of diverse background, or because they're like, well, you understand what I'm coming, understand that, you know, and now we're connecting, because at the end of the day, I think we're all in this together, but like we all can resolve the problem together, because it's actually a big. So that said, I can share now the clip and I'll open it all to you, to be honest. And I didn't show you much about media. I show you the why. And then all of the opportunities I've been opening, they're more than what I even have time to guess. You know, it's so many really cool things. It's a good thing that, you know, me and my business partner were completely different. So he's a more of like engine-like individual that's focused on generating the work. And I have become more of like, well, I guess 60% of my time is doing all of these other things I really love, going to communities, and bringing some members. I can share quickly the change receipt clip. Now everybody could hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Done. And we can talk a lot about how it's made, like the whole process and all the things that we use and the tools that we do. It may look like, well, a small firm, this is very expensive. Anybody can do. We now also at the SFx are talking about problems that architects have about communicating the value of our work and how we work. Well, we are doing that too now. And we're actually doing it in different languages. My mom didn't even know what I did. She speaks Spanish. So I was like, well, we should probably open it up to Spanish too, so that everybody can know what we do and communicate the value of our work and basically resolve a lot of problems that media can actually solve, like video, that content can actually.
Wendy only met Marco 8 days ago while searching for freelance web developers.
By the way, can you see the screen, the video?
The site he delivered made him an invaluable member of the team.
All right, that's the clip.
Between 2017 and 2018, me and my partner Marco Severino launched Flow, an architectural office that didn't have a mission or a clear purpose. Thankfully, we knew something was wrong. Several words started to ring true to me: lack of diversity, pipeline, minority architects, diverse backgrounds. Me and my partner Marcos decided to investigate the matter a little bit more. We learned that there weren't a lot of minority architects. There weren't a lot of Latino architects. We learned that there wasn't a lot of people from all over the world working together in one team. And we decided that we wanted to change that.
When I was a child, I always remember that I wanted to become a firefighter or an architect, and I wasn't able to see anyone that looked like me that can represent that dream that I have. Now, we had that dream come true, who are touching life in every spectrum. They go to elementary school, middle school, and high school to try to model that anyone that want to become an architect, they can see firsthand how they are.
Then we learned that we needed to reinforce that. We went to high schools and colleges to ensure that those that made it there stayed the path. Then we decided to create a big ecosystem where we could support architects from all over and make sure that they made it through. We decided to open the ARE Success class in our YouTube channel, open to everybody for free. And we continue to go to middle schools, preschools, and high schools to talk to children.
Well, one of the things that I think you're doing really well is, and that's going to have a huge impact on ensuring that the future of architecture is more inclusive, equitable, and diverse, and that is going into schools. We should be spending more time in schools, talking to kids, and wherever we can find an opportunity to work with kids and teach them about architecture and how architecture is building community.
That's our legacy. That's the impact we're leaving. We are the change we seek. This is the only way to get it done.
Right. And, no, yeah, well, we can open it up, and any questions you may have, I'm happy to.
Yeah, does anybody have a question to kick it off? I was gonna ask, it feels like between you and your partner, like you're more of the face. Like part of this feels like you have to be comfortable getting in front of the camera and being kind of the face behind your firm. But maybe that's not the case. Like maybe that's what you chose to do, because I think that's a little bit part of the hurdle too, is like your work wants to speak for itself, or your philosophy, or you know what I mean? But I know a lot of it is about our experience as well.
So we actually have had a hard time making sure everybody's engaged within the office, because not everybody's really interested.
Sure.
So even when we hire on our offer letter, it says it's required to spend a certain amount of time doing some pro bono work and a certain amount of time doing some community outreach and being in front of cameras. But it's at the beginning, I was always just recording with my cell phone, which is really, like, to be honest, it's as powerful as any big camera, but it's not as invasive as any big camera. So when we got the big cameras from Edwin, because he owns the whole media company, so people started seeing it completely different. He was like, so we had to create a levels of engagement, sort of like of exposure. Are you comfortable with X or B? You know, you may just use your voice to read a story, and we just show the slide of the little kid's story. You may choose to do X or Y. So we've been doing that. I also wasn't really, like, I'm not a showman by any means. I think after I got divorced, a part of me just opened up, but I wasn't really interested in any of this stuff. And then I worked on my image a little bit. I worked on my self-esteem a little bit. And it all kind of was like, well, if I'm the only one that says I am 1,000% comfortable with this, and it is the legacy I want by my graveyard, my gravestone. So I guess I'm gonna take it on my own hands, just do it. That's it, you know.
Right, right. Any other questions out there? I do like the idea that I feel like people have this sense that they already know you. Like I can imagine clients, developers, people that have been exposed to some of the videos of how you work in your studio already have a familiarity with it. It's like you don't have to pitch yourself as much.
It's true. In fact, I have met a lot of people through just random DMs, either LinkedIn or Instagram. A client just walked in yesterday, but we've been talking for a while via Instagram. And I said, yeah, come to our office for a couple of minutes. We spoke about a project that he had, and he literally wrote a check and put it on my desk. And I said, I haven't even written the contract. Like, just so you know, I trust you. And I was like, oh, listen, I could easily just retire to the Dominican Republic tomorrow. So, but literally he did that. And I was like, why is that? It's like, is it because one is authentic? All we're doing is really authentic, right? And we carried it through from the handbook, from the drawings, from the clients, from staff, from the, it's through everything, right? So I was just pick one thing, one problem within our profession. That's the only problem with travel, diversity in the field. And it is making a lot of people feel that they identify with us. My partner Marco's also now getting more into it too. He's really more into the educational. So he literally gets a whiteboard and starts talking about architecture, and he gets recorded talking about zoning. Why is zoning important? Why does it matter? Because we also struggle with the fact that we attracts like. So we're diverse. So we're attracting a bunch of people from everywhere. English may be the second language. So we try to do it in different languages and take it easy and slow and put subtitles. And we do a lot of coaching. So we really want to make sure that, like, our clients, less difficult, because it takes a lot of patience. Like, diversity takes a lot of patience. It's really easy to know, you watch Disney with these kids early on, you know each other, you know all the jokes. But there are people that don't know any of that stuff, and they feel alienated altogether. So it takes, even within ourselves, even within us, like, to know that, something, even also how sensitive people are with certain topics. So, we create policy very quickly too. We just created a dating policy just yesterday, because we're like, well, dating to me, within the office is different than anybody else. Like, let's talk all together and make something. We walked out of the room, everybody okay, with a nice new policy about how to address those things in comments, certain comments, and how to communicate. And I called it the testing the iron. You don't know if the iron's gonna be hot, but you can't just go right in and put your fingers on the iron, like the whole hand. So it's like test the iron and proceed together. It may be slower, but we're gonna go further together, right? Because if you just burn, you're done. But if you just test it and continue moving forward, you can continue to grow together.
I feel like I'm hogging up the question part.
That's all good, Jen. I know you have a million questions from SFx you want to ask me. I'm okay with it.
I was kind of curious, you being in the Young Architects Forum, do you see a lot of other studios like using video as a medium to market their firm, or do you still feel like that you're kind of unique in that as an architect, I should say?
No, I think a lot of people are starting to do it too.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of other people are starting to do it too. there's like YouTube shorts and Instagram shorts, and it's becoming more robust. I have now found a lot of firms within like Massachusetts are doing it to that level, but there are like a lot of entrepreneurs that are using, they create a new product, or they're creating some sort of new movement. ADUs, there's a company that's like very good at ADUs here in Salem, and they're selling that like all potatoes, right? So, but I think, when I first went to my professional practice class, we spoke about the fact that architects I don't even know if there's a standard about marketing. Like, I don't even know, we don't show up like attorneys, like, here, call 911 and whatever, call 1-800. Like, we're not really trained to market ourselves. We're not really, I don't even know if ethically is right or wrong. I haven't checked. So I guess it's, proceed on to proven wrong. But yeah, unfortunately, because we're mostly introverts, then we're just good within most of us are good within our waters. But it's changing. All of that's changing. All of that's really changing.
I definitely see a lot of the video, more kind of polished tours or before and after, or more about spaces and selling the experience of that, and not necessarily like the why of the firm, or you know what I mean, kind of the greater vision. So it's kind of a different perspective in that way.
Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, eventually we'll probably market the work as how that diversity has influenced that work. So, because that's another thing. Like, we don't see the chefs in most restaurants, unless it's hibachi, where you see the chef doing the show. But like there's a lot of people that go into the making of things, and like the problem is that we don't see them at least within our profession right now. We don't see those hardworking individuals that are making all this stuff, and the stories that they have to tell, and who they are, and why they do it. So their work is awesome. Like, it's really, really amazing work. But like, it's a sweet spot also within my day. It's like, well, I can see their growth. I can see their impact. I can see, how that wave goes all the way really, really, really far. And there are days that I may just do 2 things at the office, and I'm like, well, those were the moves. Okay. They all feel listened to. Everything has been, even the client. It's really intricate. You're right. Most offices, even their Instagrams, don't show faces. They just only show beautiful spaces. Most of them is only really crisp. But again, what did I have to show when we first opened? Well, there was nothing to show. I mean, I'm gonna show my thesis project forever, So I was like, let's start. And that was the piece that was missing. I was like the office is our best creation. Like, our own office and the makeup of our office is our best creation. So at the end of the day, it's become an engine and a machine for learning, growth, and the projects have become so cool. I could have never dreamed them. Like, so cool. Because a lot of people subscribe to that ethos, right? A lot of people say, "Whoa, wait a minute, I'm already," and there all the doors are opening. Like a scholarship we want to open at the Boston Architecture College for minorities. Like, I want to open up. Like, now we want to launch a couple of kids' books that we want writing with the help of some AI, of course. I don't have all the time to be proofreading my stuff every day, but I think AI is gonna open it up for a lot of people to start writing too, because they can't really express well. So it's opening all of these different things. Now, in the Dominican Republic, we're sponsoring an entire basketball team. They have a flow design architect jersey. It's like, well, that's cool. We're going everywhere. We're trying to touch everybody. They may wonder, what is architecture? And, and if eventually one of those says, I want to do that, then that's it. We've already accomplished our vision. We're that much closer to our goal.
That's so cool. Especially about did you say baseball team?
Basketball.
Yeah. So they're basketball. There's a league.
Basketball.
Yeah. It's called the old school league.
Right.
It's like, group of the ones that still play. And I'm like, can I still play?
So I just want to remind people who want to ask questions, you are muted, so be sure to unmute yourself before you try and ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna mute myself. I want to hear from you. I don't know any of you, and I want to connect, and I want to be able to see you at AI conference and say, hey Rex, hey James, hey Rob, you know, like, hey Kirk, you know, like, hey Jessica, do you want to be part of our new AIA film challenge video that we're working on? You know, like, you know, and amplify our voices. You don't have to have all the equipment. You have to partner with the right people. It's so much better, stronger together at the end of it.
Mhm.
Hi, Darguin. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Interesting story about that. It was named after Charles Darwin, evolution theory, right? But it should be DARWIN. In the Dominican Republic, they had a hard time writing that. They made it even more difficult for themselves with putting a GUIN.
Darwin.
And now the legacy lives on because my son is Darwin Jr.
Darwin Jr.
Darwin, yes.
So it's pretty unique. Well, thanks for sharing your film with us and your story, presenting it. I have a couple of questions, and they're you know, sort of random. I thought of them as you were speaking, but in terms of like using video, you know, to market and then to tell your story, is it are you doing it via low tech way, or you know, have you been able to film on an iPhone, for instance, or you know, how high tech would you need to be in order to use this medium?
So it started really low tech, cell phone stuff and templates that you have on TikTok and Instagram. Really, like, you just upload these things, and now it's much more robust than that. We now have drones, and we have 3 different cameras. There's some Sony's cameras. I can send you a whole list of all the things we're using. They're not really that expensive, to be honest. They add up over time, but they're not really that expensive. And now the microphones too. I'm very, very picky about sound. My microphone here, but if it doesn't sound perfect, it doesn't look crisp, some people just won't go. They won't watch it. Truly, they just don't watch. So we're now on like 4K cameras, and we're about to buy 8K cameras. So it could get very complex, and we're making it complex now, but before it wasn't, and it was still very successful. A lot of the things that, like the photos that were on that video, they like all of the things that we put on top of it, like this water splashes, it was to try to blend it all together, but they were phone like photos. Like, it was with my cell phone that they were taken. So we're trying to figure out how to make them all, because now we have high tech, very crisp stuff, and then old things, and how do we make it so that they look the same?
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of curious because, you know, I think most of the folks in the audience here are very small offices, or even solo practitioner that, you know, wouldn't be able to invest in that kind of technology. But I think videos are a good idea to market. I don't know if you've seen the movie Waiting for Sugar Man. That was out, I don't know, years ago. And evidently it was shot primarily with an iPhone. It was by a Swedish, I think, first-time movie maker. So I'd look it up. But the quality was pretty good. So I was kind of surprised. Because I was just wondering, you know, in the future, that's where we're heading, where a person, you know, has a power of technology in the phone, you know, as cameras get better. Anyways, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, and there are a lot of plugins to your phone, like a lot of gadgets you can add to an iPhone. I looked into that.
Yeah.
They have different camera lenses that you can put into them. Then you have a mounting for them. I started with that. That's how it all started, you know. And then Edwin moved to Utah to here, and I was like, I've been doing this, and we went from 1,000 subscribers to 22,000 subscribers. So that was pretty cool. But it already, like, I was already doing it, and honestly, a lot of people are doing it. Like, I see real estate agents doing a lot of that. They really squeeze the life out of just an iPhone, just a simple iPhone. And it looks great. It looks great. So
Yeah, great. Then my second question is more, do you find that, I wonder if you can name maybe,
To understand your projects and your properties are actually your biggest. Sorry.
Who is that?
No, it was something in the background, but go ahead. Jen.
Okay. I was just wondering, you can name like maybe a couple primary reasons why do you think that not enough minority kids pursue the design field or architecture, being exposed to schools, for instance, is it the lack of outreach, or is there something more?
So I have the answer varies by groups too. So it's different things. So monkey see, monkey does. Let's start with that, right? So you can ask anybody how many architects they know, and they may know, even adults, they may have one really bright and smart friend that is an architect, but it's like randomly, or it's a second friend. So like we haven't really like, we make or built environment, but we didn't necessarily represent it or go out there. And, I mean, we work 60 hours, 80 hours a week, and we're not really out there. So it's really hard for us to be seen. We're like, people, architect, my mom doesn't even know how to pronounce the word, so it's like, being able to, the outreach is a problem, but there's also cultural barriers to where that's not a thing, right? Like when I first came to the States, like, well, you got to become either a nurse or a police officer, because there's some police officer, or home health aide. Like people were already picking my career for me when I first came to the States, based on what everybody had already done. So how can you break that pattern? You have to do something else. So there's a lot of layers to that. One thing is getting interested, right? Curiosity. You first have to be, you first got my attention, then you got my curiosity, right? Like, so it starts growing. But in different levels of the spectrum, it's like, well, how profitable is this thing, right? Like kids want to make money. They want to be Bad Bunny. They want to be superstars, right? They want to be an NBA player. So we're not flashy and cool to some extent. We actually are, but people don't see it. How can we showcase it? I actually have a clip where I come out of my Range Rover really looking amazing. It's like I'm ready to, and it's like, I got a comment from someone say, why are you doing that? So, well, they like that stuff, that flashy stuff. So I want to share it with them. And then some people say, well, that may be deceiving. It's like, well, if they made it into the profession and end up loving it, it wasn't deceiving. I'm not saying that they're all going to have Range Rovers, but they may find something they love, right? So being able to show our profession as something really cool out there and something fun, and being able to be an anchor within the communities and be involved with things other than zoning boards hearings, I think it will be. So, and again, it's hard, Joanne, because many different reasons for different places, right? Like different, it may be different. That's why it hasn't happened. That's why the shift is happening now, but it's taking a while to happen.
Yeah, no, I understand. I agree with you. I think one of the reasons that, it's a long educational pursuit, and it's not necessarily a lucrative field. And I know with a lot of, I'm an immigrant, and I know with a lot of parents, they want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, where, your education will pay off. And we work really hard. Yeah, so thanks for that.
Yeah, I wanted to say something to add into this. So how can we afford a super expensive rate guy that has all this equipment that's also very expensive? We have had, and I'm gonna bring it home to the education part. We've had to be creative about having him on board and using him, and resolve the problem of us repeating ourselves as architects a million times. So what I've done is that I have a training system that walks people into our design process from step 1 through 4, actually step 0. So it's actually not 4 steps, but I always say 0. And anybody, and I relate this to when I first came to the States, my first job was Wendy's restaurant. 14-year-old could be feeding most of my town, flipping burgers. And they have a training system in place. And I know this might not apply to everybody, but there's something to be said about that, about the fact that they could even manage an entire fast food restaurant. So they have a training in place for when people walk into that door and everything is basically controlled, temperature controls, everything. So I thought, well, how can, if we want to increase diversity in the field of architecture, we got to make it easy for everybody to work in at our office. We're not going to do unpaid internships. That's not a thing. I would hate to do that. So how can I make them so that they're profitable as soon as they walk in? Here, watch this playlist now, the first day they get hired. It's gonna walk you through from step 1 through step 5. And here's a little deck. After you watch that, there's a checklist. Did you watch video number 1? Yes. You're gonna have to rewatch it as you're doing that little deck addition. And you're gonna go back and here's a sample project for you. But it's all digitally done. Like I already have a video for that process. I already have a video for where our folders are. So I've made it so that I could go to the AIA conference every year and not have to explain myself 1,000 times anymore. Because I'm gonna say, listen, maybe videos are boring for you, but I know you didn't watch it because I just glanced at that PDF and it doesn't look right. So can you go back to that? And I'm saving myself the time of repeating myself 1,000 times. How many times do you redline the same thing? The name of the client, the project number, the address, the description's not right, the zoning district's not right. Well, you know, and I'm probably onto something bigger than media right now. But I was like, what if Revit, when the new person that I hire is gonna open Revit, prompts you to say, have you read the contract? No, contracts are available at our office for everybody. And they should not be drawing anything unless they know what it is. Have you watched the initial consultation? We record all of our initial consultations with our clients, all of them. So I want them to watch the initial consultation with the client because at that time they're telling us what it is that they want, scope, time, and budget, and everything that's really important about the project. And when I'm doing the initial consultation, I am coaching the clients into the questions I want for my staff members because they need those answers. So it's becoming more of a training ecosystem. And then I got Edwin, module 1, this is like a linda.com training. These people have to watch this. Within the first 2 weeks, they have to be profitable. I'm not just gonna be sponsoring and paying diversity. I want diversity to pay me back. So we're like making it work and people are able to do that and they're able to become profitable right away. And we have so many different types of projects that there's something for everyone. There's something at each level and they graduate after each step. So step 1, you've already completed existing conditions correctly. Let's see if that's true. See the checklist you have, right? And then we do our award ceremony every quarter, where we actually give an award to people for, it's like employee of the quarter kind of thing. And at the end of the year, we do superpowers too, because not everybody's the same. So I can't expect everybody to be Darwin. I'm actually supposed to be looking for my replacement already, which is another topic. You have to start really early to the succession plan. The succession plan can't happen when you have white hair or no hair. It should happen early. So I'm already working on that. But all of this has been documented. And Joanne, it's because my biggest fear is losing my memory, actually, personally, gives me anxiety and not be able to remember or communicate or see things. I want to be able to go back if I happen to just get amnesia and say, who am I? What's going on? That looks like me. I'm talking about that. And I did that. And wow, if I can relearn all of that stuff back again with amnesia, then I've done a great job. So I'm like, my kids can see it and their kids can see it. So I guess I guess there's a little ego there because I become eternal.
Hey, Darwin, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. I wanted to share one kind of approach we've been doing. I lead a statewide, region-wide nonprofit in Washington and Oregon, and we work with small rural school districts. And the real challenge that we've seen in building community and having kids work with us on projects is to get away from the traditional, come to the site and, do a construction tour, that kind of thing. We really tried to integrate the project as a class, and not just in design, but kind of cradle to cradle, the whole spectrum of activity. And media's really become very, very critical to that. And so the students are totally engaged in the seeing and knowing based on their, kind of application of media to the class. So and the reason I'm mentioning this is, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but as a nonprofit, we use that as a very critical marketing component. And when we're, looking for work, because we're still self-sustaining financially, there's no other source of funding except through our performance and our work with these small school districts. And of course, they have very, very limited resources. So, it's bringing much more than architecture to the work. And so I just wanted to thank you for everything you're doing in Massachusetts. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. That's really, really cool, using it as part of a whole class beginning to end. And sometimes anyway, media will fall short. I see the shortcomings of a lot of things too. We have these attention deficits too. I mean, who can watch a video for 10 minutes, 15 minutes of Darwin talking about zoning? It's like, well, that might not be fun. So, but it's a step in the right direction and engaging people in a very fun way. I wanted to also throw in a couple of tools that I have been with. One of them is called Pictory AI. And I'll tell you why I like this thing. By the way, I'm not being paid by Pictory AI. I just subscribe to them. And there's a little referral code I can send to you. So I wrote an essay all the way back when I first started at the BAC, which I won a scholarship for, where I was telling the story about how it had to do with minority, actually, that scholarship, and how you succeeded through some struggles. And I wrote this beautiful essay. I was able to wrap that essay into this platform as text. And the platform started picking pictures and images about it. And I threw it in there and I said render. And when I downloaded that, I was crying. I was crying, one, because by the way, you can pick voices and they're not like robotic, as robotic as Siri is. They're more like a little bit more natural. It's really cool how things are growing. But I heard my entire story back from when I was starting at the BAC all the way back in 2012, 2011. So, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're able to wrap that text and see it visualized by the AI. It might get a lot of these wrong, but I'm like, wow. So basically, you don't even have to, literally, guys, be in front of a camera to tell people your story. You could type your story. You can have then ChatGPT optimize your story for whichever audience. I actually say, make it for children of ages 10 to 15. And it will add some fun things about the story. You can say, well, make it for a more serious audience. It literally will retype it, plug it into this theme. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, there's like, I haven't exploded it as much as I wish, because just like you, I do architecture too. So, but it's really cool to start integrating some AI this tool, and then your own images, because you have your own images. I actually have a folder because I had to do a presentation about my life, and I have pictures of me as a kid. So you just put the right names to each one of those folders, and you say, Darwin 10 years old, Darwin 20 years old. You put it onto the AI, and it will know when you're talking about you as a kid. It will pick that picture and put it in. And I also wrote a letter for my significant other all the way back, and I put that letter into that too. And I put it in a big screen. She was right next to me, and she was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Do you remember that letter I wrote all the way back?" She's like, "Oh my!" I'm seeing visualized. So the tools are there. This thing is like what, $12 a month subscription? I mean, that's nothing. Listen, I only did like 5 videos with it. I mean, that's already paid itself back. YouTube is being monetized already. So it's like, that's already, So we have to start being curious and knowing that our profession is all about technology, and you know, we're always on top of things. We can't, you know, I still go back to pen and pencil and trace paper, but there's all these other things that can augment our processes, you know, all of our processes, what we do. I mean, I think we need to leverage it. And I think being a small firm owner, we can do that. There's no CEO to approve these things. Doesn't have to go through a crazy HR process. Like, no. We're doing that tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, we'll stop. You know? Yes, I'm gonna send my referral thing.
Okay. That sounds amazing. That's very cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah, AI, I felt was a big topic at conference this year.
It was,
Of
and, you know,
discussions.
I actually saw that there are people that are waking up to it, and they're gonna retire off of it. To be honest, some people using AI, which is basically most of it is written. All the things that are actually written is what it can use. It doesn't, you know, it's never gonna take over our jobs, by the way, because we can literally feel. AI can't feel. So that code one, because code is just written. So if you can develop a platform that can you can upload a plan to that platform, and that can actually analyze code on it. Oof. Oh, because I hate that code review stuff. I had to do. So you can actually, you know, you could cloud, if you could cloud all the issues, like, oh my goodness. It's gonna be so.
You got to partner up with somebody that has that between you and that
I stopped at, I'm just going to pitch in. I stopped at Upcodes and they demoed me their upcoming development in AI code search. Fascinating.
Do you use that
Sorry, I
currently?
missed you there at the conference, Darwin, but I appreciate your time and it's kind of inspiring. I would say personally, the biggest tragedy in my lack of video experience is the sense that it's an exposure, like personal exposure. So you've really got to kind of break through the barrier. Just speaking, or that comment is more for myself, but there's a lot of parallels in what you're describing to the seminar that I went to on photography, the life cycle. The presenter, I think, had a lot of comments parallel to yours, and it's understanding or recording and our fascination with the entire process. Very informative. Those are all my comments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rex. By the way, I'm available to any of you, literally. So Jen, you can share all my information. You can call me anytime. I am always looking forward to walking out of my wall sections reviews just to talk about any of this stuff, to be honest. Versus Marcos, my partner, is looking forward to looking at wall sections, which is great. You know, that's probably why I recorded too. I'm so lazy, I don't want to have to look at it twice. So I'm just gonna record the present now. So I share, by the way, a little email, a little blurb on this, and I think there's some videos on my YouTube channel where I show how I use it step by step, the picture one, and then there is the little barrel code. So if you use that link, work. I even created a video with that explaining how I use. Like it's really cool. So that's just one tool. There's a million of them. There's gonna be much more coming up. Great. I always think that after every crisis, there's always a movement of things. Like after COVID, look all the things that came out. So I guess we need more crises so that we can
I don't know.
resolve more
about that.
problems. You know, honestly, honestly, I was thinking, Jen, you know, closing too today. I was thinking about the fact that like we really work so well when we're like down to the second, right? Like we resolve problems in a very tight spot. And I think it's sad because I was on that session today and Nate was talking about sustainability. it's sad that it's gonna take us to get to a point where it's like, well, we literally have 5 more days to save our world. You know, like I'm like, wow, there's gonna be all these people that have been fighting so far and so hard. It's gonna be saying, I told you so, I've been telling you so. Why did we have to wait for the last minute? And likely, hope that doesn't happen. We're probably not gonna be here, unless there's a video hanging around. But it would take that too, and there's all this now. That's why my presentation was so much about the why. Find some whys within your office. They will drive you to create all this media because you're like, well, I'm really excited about this stuff. I'm going to continue to do this stuff. It could be anything. Sustainability. You would be like, listen, that's my one topic on my office. That's my core value. That's it. And I show all my colors and fun things around that. And people will identify with you, will want to connect with you, hire you, work with you, and like you. Now, another thing though, in closing, it will open it up to haters too. That's another thing, because when you're behind covers, you're not exposed to any criticism. You're not exposed to any attack. You're not exposed to anything. It's just your drawings, and people review your drawings, and you don't really get to see their feelings about your drawings. You get to see a little email and some rejection letter from the building department, but you don't really know any of that. But when you are doing these videos, at the end of the day, yeah, you amplify everything. So some people may not like something you say, and that's
open
okay.
yourself up.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's actually cool. I'm always looking forward to listening to those that don't like what I'm saying, so that I can understand their point of view.
Well, we should probably end on that note. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thanks everybody for coming. I enjoyed seeing new faces too, which is always great. So
Yeah.
join us again.
Yeah.
And you can come to the coffee hours every Wednesday at 9.
That's right. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Drop in.
Now, 9 a.m.
coffee.
for you. What's time that for me?
I know that might be a little early for you, but you're always welcome if you're if you're an early bird. That's cool.
Yeah. So share, connect, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Let's not make this just one time. All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.